In today's video, we're going to go over a technique where I previously used a softbox to light a group portrait for a client of mine. Hi everyone, my name is Wes, and for the last 15 years I've been in the filmmaking and photography industry, creating everything from short films, documentaries, photojournalism, and especially over the last 3 or 5 years, capturing weddings and documenting everything about weddings, which I absolutely love. I'm going to give you a little bit of the insight into my creative process for capturing an image like this, a way that you can customize it and make it your own. You know, using a technique like this, I think is very important to understand that it's very subjective. And I think there's so many photographers and filmmakers out there that there's so many different ways to capture image using this technique. There's different ways to edit the image, there's different ways to light it. But as long as you understand how simple it is to actually use a remote trigger, hold the softbox and rotate depending on the lighting that you want. Sometimes you want the light to come one direction. In this particular instance, I wanted, since the group portrait they were in a V, I wanted them to be lit relatively equally. And there was a huge window off to the right of the image as well. But please keep in mind that this technique is very subjective, but as long as you understand what can be done and how you can use it and incorporate it into your workflow, that's what matters most. What I use to capture this is the Magbox from Magnon. And let me show you the logo right there. There we go. And it's actually, this is absolutely ingenious how they created it. I absolutely love it. And you basically, it's built almost entirely with magnets. You just pop it open like that. That's the inside of that. There's a diffuser right here. Also clips on with magnets. You just attach the yellow. Very nice, comes in handy. And there is also a holder right here. I'm going to show you how quickly this attaches on. So basically there's magnets on the back of that right there, and it just goes on like so. So basically what you do, what I did was hold this and just rotate it around. I like to use the Godox 80-200 strobes, and they basically just pop in right in the back here. I'm sure there's other flashes that will fit in here as well, but they are held by magnets as well. They just clip in like that. I'm sure you heard that. And you also, there's just enough room to put, there's a little gel holder that you can get that you can put in here as well. And I usually put in like a CTO or CTB gel, depending on the scene and everything like that. But this is what I used, and this is what you see me in all of the behind the scenes shots and what I edited out here. So just wanted to show you how easy this was. So before we jump into Lightroom and Photoshop, there's a few things that I want to try to articulate and communicate as best as I could in the event that you want to go out and do these for whatever it might be. Client, wedding photography, storytelling. There's endless opportunities, I think, to do shots like these. So one thing that I really want to highly recommend is put the camera in manual focus. I say that because in between shots of doing these, you don't want, modern day cameras are really smart these days. So you don't want the camera saying like, oh look, I found someone else's face, I'm going to focus on them. So it's best to set on manual focus. With that said, I also suggest shooting somewhere between 2.8 on the low end, anywhere between 2.8 and 8. Having that focal plane, if you're doing a group shot, you're gonna get your subject in focus. That way it'll alleviate any sort of stress or thoughts of like getting shots out of focus. Because that's the worst case scenario when you come back and bring the shots into your editing system, and then you get a shot out of focus. That'll throw you way out of whack. So with that said, manual focus, shooting at a decent aperture, and tripod. What also helps is most modern day cameras, I say most, I haven't really shot on Nikon lately, but most modern day cameras have a remote app that you can use on your iPad, smartphone, whatever it might be. If you're a one-man show, you can just simply load up the app, put the mag box on that I showed you guys, and you're pressing the shutter with one button, and then you're holding the strobe with the other. You'll see me do that here in these shots. That's basically what I did. I'm a one-man show. It took me a matter of 5 minutes to take all these shots, and that was it. Most of my clients are really busy people, and the more time I take of their time, I always feel like the less honorable I am. So I try to honor all of my clients' time as much as I can. So with that said, let's jump into Lightroom. All right, so here we are in Lightroom. As we dive into this here, you're gonna see I have 3 shots already selected. And let me just quickly navigate through these shots so you can see them. There's me moving to the front of the V of the group and then moving to the right. So to bring these into Photoshop, simply select the batch of photos that you have taken, and then make sure they're selected, right click on them and hit edit in, and then open as layers in Photoshop. Now that we're in Photoshop, we have these, all of the images stacked as layers. Before we want to start compositing these, we want to create what's called a mask. Masking basically allows for non-destructive photo editing on these images. So in the event that you need to go back for whatever reason, you don't want to go back to a photo where you've completely just erased all of it and there's nothing there anymore. It's just transparent data, all of the data is gone. So to prevent that, we're going to create layer masks for each of these photos. Okay, now that we got our layer masks, we want to select the first photo. The first photo, you obviously see me holding the mag box over to the left. What is important to remember is you want to erase anything that you don't want in the shot. So you see me holding the mag box to the left, and then it's obviously lighting up the left side of the group, but obviously there's shadows on the right side. So in this particular image, we want to remove the mag box on the left and the shadow, the people with the shadows on the right. So in order to do that, we want to select the eraser tool, which you can go over to the left, or you can simply hit E on the keyboard. And now you'll see the circle pop up. Now that we have the circle, we want to make sure our color palette down here is on white. I'll get to this in just a moment. But when it's white, it'll allow us to erase the image to everything that is underneath it. And this is where having a tripod really comes into play, because you really begin to see everything underneath. And now you'll start to see me a little bit in the next shot here. Let me go ahead and just kind of bring me in here so show you what happens. So obviously this is bad. So what you want to do, if you hit X on the keyboard, let me go back. So you notice this was white. If you hit X, it goes to black. Basically what that means, it's going to erase everything that you see here on that particular layer mask. So let's switch back to white. I just hit X. I'm going to draw or use the eraser over the right side of the group. That way they're starting to get more lit. And now I'm going to deselect, press the eyeball in the first layer, and here I am again. Now before I do this, I'm going to bring the top layer, I'm just going to basically duplicate it and bring it to the bottom. And then I'm going to remove this layer mask. That way we have a layer underneath all of this. So I'm going back to the second layer here, the one in between, and I'm basically going to do the same thing as before. Just erase me. And then I'm going to bring everyone in here, has more light on them. So you'll notice here, as I erased me, you'll notice that their shadows came back. Now keep in mind, we deselected the first layer. If I bring that back in, they come back. See that? Pretty cool, huh? So now what I'm gonna do is erase them on the bottom layer here. And I'm simply gonna erase this light over here. And there we go. And there's our composite. There is our lighting composite. It's pretty straightforward. Now at this point, you want to bring it back into Lightroom and you want to begin doing your color grade. Oh, I just noticed one thing over here. Eraser. There we go. So now that we have our lighting composite, I'm going to bring it back into Lightroom by simply hitting Control S on the keyboard. Alright, so now we have it back in Lightroom. What I like to do is I typically shoot wider on these group shots just so I can crop in. Now this was shot on a Canon R5, so there is plenty of resolution here. And I am going to scroll down to the Visual Flow presets, which are built on the Develop engine. You can go to develop.com to check them out, or you can go to Visual Flow and check out their presets. They're both really amazing. There's endless amount of creative possibilities here. So what I'm going to simply select is soft light here, and just basically going to drop the shadows down a wee bit here. Have a little bit of a radial filter. Now obviously color grading is completely subjective, and it's also based on the client's needs. In this case, they wanted a unique look for their group photo. They wanted a power shot, so this is what I created for them. I'm going to go in here and add the modern profile. And now, I mean, you can go in here and, you know, dodge a little bit more in their faces if you wish here. If you feel like they're a little bit uneven, and kind of even out the lighting a little bit if you like. But again, this is kind of just subjective at this point. I'm doing kind of a quick and dirty job here. This is not you know, something I would obviously spend a little bit more time on, but I just wanted to show you the amount of detail that you can do here. And this is a lighting composite that you can do with 3 images, 4 images, 5 images. It's a lot of fun to do. I'm so glad you joined me on this video today. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to be creating more videos in the future on a lot of different varying techniques, both photography and filmmaking. I love the creative process. I love storytelling. I love digital storytelling. In today's age, the technology we have is amazing. So please be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit the bell to receive those notifications for future videos. Thanks. See you next time.